I'm interested in whatever like the 30 for 30 type documentary about Indiana is going to be.
I am too. That's going to be unbelievable.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Forever Power 5, the season finale. You can follow this show across social media on Twitter and Instagram at FP5 ETV. You can follow and on TikTok at Forever Power 5, no caps or spaces. You can follow me on Twitter at Nick DiMartino, Will at Will Charlton H13, and Zain at Zain Bando 99. You can watch all Empty to Bed shows on youtube.com/ETV Network. And you can listen to this show wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure to like and subscribe. All right. So Indiana wins it all, beats Miami 27-21 for a perfect season. I feel like there's nothing I can say about this game, or about the story, I should say, of Indiana that hasn't already been said, which is that it's something that is not comparable in the history of sports.
No, it's not.
Any sport.
And this
is just seriously one of the most incredible turnarounds I think any of us have ever seen, no matter what the sport is, because we're talking about the team that came into the year with the most ever losses in FBS history. Like, that is unbelievable.
It's almost like the quintessential Miracle on Ice story, except it was Miracle on Grass. Is what it was.
Well, I mean, just the thought of Indiana even being a playoff team just 2 years ago would have been completely unfathomable, let alone have a perfect season.
You would have literally laughed in their face and called them ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, because now, I mean, look, Indiana was never a football school. I guess they're a football school now. Throughout my life, they were never considered to be a football school. They were always a basketball school. And what's fascinating to me about Cignetti is that he's completely changed the entire landscape of college football, in the sense that, like, now coaches, like, he did to all of college football what Nick Saban did to the SEC. Like, he has set the standard for every head coach that it's like, oh, you can't win? Well, Cignetti did it with Indiana. Like, he almost sets this impossible standard for every other head coach.
Yeah, those are all really good points. I mean, my only counter to that would be, is it really that he's setting an impossible standard, or is he really showing that now any team, as long as you have one good transfer portal class or one good recruiting class, you can essentially win any given year, regardless of what symbol is on the side of your helmet?
Yeah, I would say it's not an impossible standard, just a very, very high standard that not many coaches can actually hit.
For sure.
It's also just the culture. I mean, the culture that he brought to Indiana, just like, Google me, I win. I mean, that is seriously one of the boldest things you could ever say in an introductory press conference. Like, I don't know if there's ever been a more bold thing said.
And when you actually Google him going into his Indiana tenure, he did win.
Absolutely.
That's what we did.
It's this culture that he brought to this program that, you know, these guys that he had at James Madison, they knew how to win, and they brought that over into Big Ten play, which is really hard to do from what's James Madison? The Sun Belt? Yeah, Sun Belt.
Yeah,
they're going from Sun Belt to major college football, and it's almost like a seamless transition because they give Ohio State a game for a little bit last year for Ohio State ended up kind of blowing them out, but you know, they make the college ball playoff. They set the standard that Indiana is here. A lot of people weren't really too sure what this team this year is going to look like.
No.
Like,
and there were even people right. And then there were even people back in September and October, even after, you know, they won 63-10 at home against Illinois, there were still people that said, oh yeah, this team isn't like fully legitimate. And I think, I don't know if you guys feel similarly, but I think it was after the Penn State game where people were like, okay, this is a team of destiny. There's no way they're not at least going to the Big Ten championship.
No, I think people said they're a team of destiny after they beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game.
That's true.
Or actually, that's not true. I think it was more after they beat Oregon that.
I think the Oregon game was like, oh, whoa, is Indiana really good? Because obviously the game against Illinois was more so a thing of like, okay, I just don't think Illinois is really all that this year. Like, I think Illinois is the really overhyped team this year. Which, granted, I mean, Illinois still went 9-4, but we digress.
It said a lot about both teams.
Yeah, it did. It did. I just think that for Indiana to have been ranked 19th at that time wasn't incorrect. I feel like that was fine for the time being. But
for the time being, yes. But looking back on it now, it's laughable.
It is.
It should have never.
They were the 20th team ranked preseason by the AP, and you know, like with the question marks that team had, like I get it. You weren't really sure like how Mendoza was going to come in, and I mean, obviously he was a highly touted transfer and he delivered. I mean, he was phenomenal this year. Won the Heisman for a reason, but there are a lot of question marks of like what this team is going to look like. Will they have a hangover from making the playoff last year? But, you know, they came right back in and showed that they're the best team in the country, and they proved that week after week after week after week, and especially in this college football playoff.
Oh, yeah, this college football playoff was a run of epic proportions. I mean, they made the Alabama game look easy, the Oregon game, they really didn't have any struggles at all, and then this Miami game, which we're going to get into in a minute here, was clearly a test of wills, because I think the game lived up to the hype, and then you had obviously a thrilling ending to it, of course. But you honestly can't even write like movie scripts better than this. I'm excited for the movie when the movie comes out, and I'm excited for whatever the long extended 30 for 30 is going to be in the next, I don't know, 3 to 5 years. It's going to be unbelievable.
Well, I know that the movie that they make about it, they can't call Hoosiers.
Yeah, they can't.
Because there's already a Hoosiers movie. But, yeah, I mean, I'm honestly more interested in the 30 for 30 than a fictionalized version of what really happened. And why do I need to see a movie about something that I lived? But I guess that's more for like future generations that didn't get a chance to actually see this. But I think they will make a movie about it. I mean, I'm interested in whatever like the 30 for 30 type documentary about Indiana is going to be.
I am too. That's going to be unbelievable.
Well, in terms of how this game went, I had Indiana minus 8.5.
We all did.
And Miami played them tougher, obviously played them tougher than any of us thought they would. I think the game was officiated in a way where they really didn't call penalties, including very clear and obvious penalties. I'm all for letting them play. That doesn't mean that a penalty shouldn't be called when it is clearly a penalty.
Especially Mendoza. I mean, those
first hit
crazy.
The first hit to Mendoza, I think, was clearly a penalty.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
hands down.
Probably a target, even though I'm no officiating expert. I think it was targeting.
It looked like it.
And there was a pass interference against Omar Cooper later in the game. I think it was on third down that didn't get called. Yes. I think the game was officiated in a way that really affected Miami, because when you're not going to be calling penalties, that hurts Miami a lot more than Indiana. Indiana does not get a lot of penalties. They don't make a lot of stupid mistakes. And I think that in the first half of this game, it looked like Indiana was really in control. The second half, I think, was a different story. I was sweating it out in the second half of that game. I really was sweating it out. That's when Miami was able to get their run game going. They didn't move the ball effectively in the first half.
No.
I mean, with Mark Fletcher and Malachi Toney, they were able to move the ball. I mean, those were the only two guys they were really able to move the ball with, but they actually did it pretty effectively in the second half. Mark Fletcher had a couple of good runs, which I didn't think they'd be able to run the ball as effectively as they did against Indiana. And I'd have to say, I was honestly more impressed with how well Miami played them than I was at Indiana winning. like I was more impressed by Miami because I didn't think they'd hang in there as long as they did. I really didn't. Ultimately, I think they fell too far behind. I think Indiana got out to too big of a lead in the first half. And Miami sometimes, I think they just made too many mistakes. There were too many mistakes. Obviously the Carson Beck interception at the end of the game, also a pass interference penalty I think it was on third down when Indiana was midfield. Although Indiana's false start almost cost them a lot before.
Yeah, that was close to being really
right before they kicked the field goal to go up 27-21.
Yep.
And that false start killed Indiana. I mean, Indiana probably could have scored a touchdown and basically
they would have, unlikely.
Yeah, they would have. They would have, and then therefore the time remaining on the clock plus the lead would have been too insurmountable for Miami to come back from. So it's almost like the field goal was a break, but the field goal didn't end up mattering in the end because Indiana won anyway. So
yeah, and I think Indiana has so many great receivers. I mean, Omar Cooper, Elijah Surratt, what's his name? Charlie Becker.
Charlie Becker.
He made some huge catches. He
seems like more of a slot receiver, but he didn't miss any. He doesn't have the speed that Cooper and Surratt have, but he caught everything. Every tough pass, every tight throw, Charlie Becker caught every single one.
He's kind of been that guy that they've gone to. He wasn't even like a guy they really relied on early on in the season, but after they realized he could start making plays for them, they started kind of using him as like their kind of key down guy because he made catches like that, and that's all he did down the stretch of the season is he made catch after catch after catch when it really mattered. And
not just a key down guy, but a security blanket where you thought, Indiana's exhausted all their options, and all of a sudden here's Charlie Becker at the bottom of the pile, and you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he had a phenomenal game, and also, the running backs for Indiana also had great games. What's his name? Kaylon Black, who is just a resilient runner. He is. A lot of people are. Kirk Herbstreit was comparing him to Isaiah Pacheco.
Yep, I heard.
I can't really unsee it. I really do see the comparison. He had a great game.
Like him, it's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Honestly, even Roman Hemby. They both run very similarly. Like they're both downhill guys.
Yes, both downhill runners. They have. Look, Indiana, I think, is slightly less talented of a team than Miami, but I think they're a more disciplined team.
They are.
Absolutely.
And they still have a ton of talent around them, even if they're a little bit less talented. I think they play better as a team. I think they're a little more disciplined. I think their structure is a little bit better. I think they make fewer mistakes than Miami. But, I got to hand it to Miami because they played Indiana better than anybody else did.
Absolutely. And I kind of figured going in that would be the toughest matchup on paper for Indiana just because Miami is so versatile, especially on the defensive end. I haven't seen a defense or a pass rush get past that Indiana O-line as well as Miami has all season.
Yeah.
What did they get to Mendoza? 4 or 5 times at least?
4, I think.
4? Yeah. And that just goes to show how impressive that Miami pass rush is. Obviously you got the 2 first rounders on that D line. So, and Desmond Bain should be a top 10, if not top 5 pick in the draft this year. So, it was really impressive to see how Miami was able to get past that big, bulky Indiana O-line that has been one of the best units, if not the best in the country this whole year. And Mendoza wasn't really that comfortable. He really wasn't. He was making throws that you could tell that they were kind of back foot sometimes, and he wasn't really set in his feet all that well. But in the end, Indiana just made a few more plays. And got ahead in the first half and never trailed.
Not just made a few more plays, but got ahead in the first half and made its initial 10-0 lead feel insurmountable. And yet the game was still as exciting as it was. It was very, very interesting to watch the season momentum because it looked like it was going to sway the complete opposite direction and that we would be talking about a totally different story. And I just think it's truly the magic of Indiana's season that kind of allowed it to pull through, and they were obviously able to complete the perfect season and prove that, of course, it now should be considered as not just now a new team to look out for in the next several years as a team that's going to contend for a title moving forward, but single-handedly, this 2025 group has to be now one of the greatest college football teams of all time.
Well, where would you rank them? Because that's my question. Like, I understand Indiana's a great story, and the turnaround that Cignetti had has been remarkable, something that is not comparable in history. I mean, before we talk about, like, teams from the 80s and 90s that I wasn't alive to see. None of us were alive to see. Like, in our lifetime, where would you rank this Indiana team? I mean, they're certainly not the greatest team I've ever seen.
I mean, I still don't. What did you say, Will? Sorry.
I'd say probably in the 3 to 5 range. Because
I think so too.
Yeah,
that's how I feel too.
I think forever until proven otherwise that LSU team with Burrow, Chase, and all of them is going to be the best.
Yeah, it's still better because of the amount of NFL talent they had.
That was the best team I've ever seen.
Yeah, me too.
The second best team I've ever seen was the next year, which was the 2020 Alabama team.
Yeah.
That, I think, it was the second best team.
They were damn good too.
Another team, and then maybe Indiana's in the conversation, but another team would have been, how about the 2018 Clemson team?
Yeah, that team was great too. That was a really good team. I mean, killing Alabama in that title game. Yeah.
That was another great team.
Yeah, and I would say another one that we even mentioned is the Florida State team that beat Auburn. I think they were pretty good too.
Yeah, they actually, I mean, honestly, they kind of got fortunate to win that game too in 2013 or whatever year that was. Yeah, it would have been 2013.
Mm-hmm.
The 2013 season.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd say that team. I would say, I guess, given all those teams that I just gave you, I think Indiana's probably the fourth best if I were to rank them.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
yeah,
you can't forget about 2023 or 2022 Georgia.
Yeah, you can't forget about the Georgia teams either. So maybe,
like,
I don't think they're better than the 2020.
What was the final score against TCU in the national championship?
65-7.
65-7.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I also think
65-7 and 35-0 at halftime, or something absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, that second Georgia title team was.
How about the first Georgia title team? I mean, I think they're up there.
I think the second one was better.
I do too.
Yeah, probably, but I think they were both great. And how about the Michigan?
How about the national championship? Unless you're great, obviously they're both great. But I think if you put those two teams on a field against each other, I think the second team beats the first team.
Yeah, I think that's fair. True. How about the Michigan team from 2 years ago? Would you rank them ahead of Indiana?
No.
I
would.
Nope.
Yeah, probably. I don't think they would beat them. I don't. Though that was a great team, I don't think they would beat this Indiana team.
I don't think so either.
Do you guys think this year's Indiana team could beat the 2014-15 Ohio State team that won the first ever CFP? I think so.
I think they could, but I don't think it's a guarantee that they would because that Ohio State team was really hot.
Yeah, that is true. Ezekiel Elliott was going crazy.
so it's a little hard to say if they would beat. If they got
Cardale Jones playing quarterback instead of who was it? Was it JT Barrett who was supposed to be the
instead of JT Barrett? But JT Barrett was the backup to Braxton Miller. People forget.
True.
So Cardale Jones was a third string quarterback, and they won the national championship with him, and he was amazing.
Yeah,
for a short period of time. And we do need to talk about the. How the game ended with an interception from Carson Beck. Now, I know Carson Beck has a reputation for ending games with interceptions, which he has done a lot. I'd also have to say, if you told me Carson Beck would lead his team to a national championship and lose within a touchdown, I mean, that's pretty impressive. I didn't think going into this season that Carson Beck really had it in him to to lead a team to a national championship. So I give Carson Beck a lot of credit for the great season that he's had.
Yeah.
I do too.
I mean, besides that loss to Louisville where he threw, 4 interceptions?
Yeah.
I mean, that was probably his worst game of the season. I can't imagine he had a worse game than that.
No, I don't think he did.
But yeah, Carson Beck definitely. I mean, when he left Georgia and went to Miami, it's like everyone was kind of wondering how that fit's going to be. Is that really going to work out that well?
And it did.
Beck, it worked great. It worked great. I mean, he kind of fit into the system really well. I mean, Miami was looking for a guy who could come in and do what he did. He did exactly that and got him to a national title game. They're not in this game if not for Carson Beck.
Correct.
Yeah, and he struggled a lot in Georgia, and I think part of the reason he got better with Miami is because of his, he got older. He's a year older and a year better. So he's improved, but also I think it probably had a lot to do with the system in Georgia versus Miami. I think maybe the system in Miami fit Carson Beck's skill set a little better than the offensive system.
That's what they're saying, yeah.
At Georgia. I don't know. It's hard to say, but I think that probably is true. Miami's probably a little bit more of an offensive team than Georgia was. I mean, the Georgia team that we've seen these past couple of years has not quite been the same Georgia team from before.
No.
And Kirby Smart's a defensive-minded head coach. Mm-hmm. So I think all that makes sense to me. A lot of people are talking about how Carson Beck doesn't go to class because he graduated. And I was just like, do people not understand how college football works, how there are such thing as graduate transfers?
Yeah.
That's kind of just that's how college football has always worked. You can be a graduate transfer. You can have extra years of eligibility, even if you graduated college. That's always been how it works. I didn't really get that.
Well, I mean, I think that maybe the person who asked that question was trying to see, they probably figured he's trying to do a graduate degree right now, but Carson Beck's not doing a graduate degree.
No.
No,
I don't think Carson Beck, frankly, I don't really think he needs a graduate degree.
No, he does. He'll be an NFL quarterback.
Well, he'll be in the NFL. He won't start, but he'll be a backup, which frankly is a really, really good job. Being a backup quarterback.
You're still making a lot of this doing that.
You make a lot of money and you don't have to do much. And when you go in the game, the expectations aren't that high.
And you get to travel the country because more than likely you're going to get traded every 2 years. So,
well, that's if you like traveling. I mean, I guess he liked traveling from Georgia to Miami. I guess he liked that. I mean, I would.
At least, yeah.
I mean, I guess I would too. I guess I would also enjoy that.
Yeah.
But I don't. I mean, he's been in college for a really long time.
Well, yeah, he was in the recruiting class with Bryce Young, DJ Uyunglele, Anthony Richardson. It's just oh my goodness, man! Wow.
Yeah.
Want to hear a crazy stat? When Carson Beck committed to Georgia, Malachi Toney was 11 years old.
Yep.
That's absurd.
That's completely insane.
Not even false.
When I first saw that, I thought it was a joke. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh my God, it's actually true.
It's literally true.
Malachi Toney was 11 years old.
And then somehow, some way, they played together. That's how crazy.
What did you guys make of what happened at the end of the game? Carson Beck didn't shake hands, and Mark Fletcher got into a fight with an Indiana offensive lineman.
Yeah, so apparently the story with Fletcher is that the Indiana player said something about his late father, which set him off.
Oh, geez.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know.
That's...
If that's the case, then that's kind of shameful.
Yeah, but why did Carson the thing is when I hear these stories, I always like to wait it out because, first of all, it might just be completely false, or it could be missing context. Like, just because there's a headline that says Carson Beck didn't shake hands doesn't mean it's actually truthful,
Right,
or even accurate at all. So I kind of withheld reacting to it because I really just didn't know if that was actually true.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if so, I think that's a kind of a bad look because I just think it's
A really bad look.
it's certainly a bad look if you just refuse to shake hands after the game. I think it always is.
Terrible look.
But I just didn't know if that was actually true because it didn't, because that's just what the headlines sometimes say.
The New York Post is reporting that the non-handshake did happen. So,
okay. Well, did he give a particular reason for it?
as far as I can see, no, I haven't seen a reason as to why he didn't shake his hand. So I have no idea. But the Mark Fletcher thing, the other thing about him throwing a punch, I did hear, and several Twitter accounts have reposted about it. Several.
Is the quote that is the quote accurate?
Which one?
That's going around where he says, "I don't owe anyone a handshake after losing a national championship. I owe myself the standard I play to," or is that fake?
I don't know if that's real or not, but
I
that's
have a feeling it's fake, but you never know.
For sure.
I have a feeling
if it's from one of those no-name websites, it's definitely fake.
Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't really seem all that accurate to me. By the way, I'm loving how much SEC fans are just crashing out about Indiana winning it all. It is so crazy. I saw a tweet, like, a lot of people, SEC fans, are like, after Indiana won, they're like, yeah, congrats to Indiana for winning the national championship and having a perfect season, whatever. But don't ever compare them to the 2019 LSU team. They're not as good as the 2019 LSU team.
They're trying to find any sort of way to hang on to the fact that they think they're still the best conference out there.
Well, no. I do think the SEC is still the best conference. It's just that they can't handle that a Big Ten team won it all, has won it all in these past 3 years. Which obviously conference collectivism in college football is really stupid anyway. I mean, I don't understand. Look, being an SEC team doesn't mean you're a good team. Being a Big Ten, every conference.
SEC fan tends to think that is the case, though.
Yes, you're right about that. Every SEC fans think, and they've thought this for years, there's actually more merit to it now than there was 10 years ago. Like, I think the SEC used to have 7 really, really good teams and 7 really bad teams. And the Big Ten would have something sort of similar, maybe like 6 really, really good teams and like 8 really bad teams. It was
more so like really good teams at the top, subpar teams in the middle, and then there's like 3 really bad teams.
That's how it used to be. Like, the way it used to be is that the entire east side of the entire SEC East used to be terrible, and the entire Big Ten West was terrible. College football had just so many horrendous teams. They were fun to watch sometimes, but they were horrendous. That's not the case anymore. Now the SEC has – I don't even necessarily think the SEC is worse as a conference than it used to be. I just think it's different, which is that it's not top-heavy. It's deeper than it used to be. Like, people talk about NIL and the transfer portal affected the SEC. It's more accurate to say it affected the top of the SEC. It affected Georgia, Alabama, maybe LSU. It didn't affect the entire conference negatively. Like, it helped teams like Vanderbilt, for instance. Like, so it made the dynamic of the SEC different than it was. And the Big Ten now looks a little bit more like the SEC used to, which is that it's very top heavy. I would say top to bottom, I think the SEC is the best conference, but they're not the best conference at the top anymore, which is, I guess, what people care about. But in reality, I care about the entire conference. Like, I would rank each team in the SEC and the Big Ten. I would take Indiana over any of the SEC teams, obviously. I'd take Ohio State over I mean, look, I don't even know how I feel about Ohio State this year, to be honest. They coasted off a pretty weak schedule, and every single time they got tested, they lost. Like against it, well, not lost, but I would say their biggest test was against Indiana, which they lost, and then their next biggest test was against
Miami,
Texas. Miami, which they lost. So I don't.
But yeah, they did beat Texas. That's true.
They beat Texas 14-7. I don't even know. And Texas was not really playing well at the time.
An extremely sloppy game for both sides.
Yes. So maybe you could say, like, if you were to take the top 2 or 3 teams in the Big Ten and the SEC, I would definitely take the top 3 Big Ten teams over the top 3 SEC teams.
Absolutely.
Without question this year.
Hands down.
But I mean, if you go a little lower, that's only at the top. If you go a little lower, if you go to like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I'm like, I'd take the SEC's 4 to 9 over and then if you look at the bottom of the conference, it's not even close. The SEC.
Well, I mean, to argue with you there, Nick, look at the bowl results.
Yeah.
The Big Ten did pretty damn well against the SEC in bowl season this year.
Well, you also have to look at who played. Well, let me just look at the
Illinois beat Tennessee, Iowa beat Vanderbilt.
Right, but that wait, how many SEC versus
Texas beat Michigan, but
there were let's break those down though, because I don't think the bowl there's 2 reasons why I don't go by bowl games very much, because you have to compare what standing in the let me just look this up.
And also what players are opting out and whatnot. So
yeah, what players are opting out. Okay, so in the 2025-2026 season, there were okay, so it says the Big Ten dominated the SEC. Well, I don't care about the bowl record of the Big Ten versus the bowl record of the SEC. I care about more, if anything, about the bowl record between the 2 conferences. So I think there were 4.
Indiana, Alabama counts as one of them too.
Because I Googled it because I'm just this meta AI kind of sucks.
I believe it was Indiana, Alabama, Iowa, Vanderbilt, Michigan, Texas, and Illinois, Tennessee. I believe those were the 4.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was.
I don't think I'm missing another one.
Nope.
Okay, so it was Illinois. Okay, so sorry. So which ones? It was Illinois, Tennessee,
Alabama,
Michigan, Texas,
Texas, Iowa, Vanderbilt,
Alabama, Indiana,
Michigan,
Iowa,
Texas,
Vanderbilt. And what was the last one?
Iowa, Vanderbilt.
Iowa, Vanderbilt. Okay, well, I would say Iowa. First, I don't. When you look at Indiana and Alabama, I already said I would take Indiana the top of the Big Ten over the top of the SEC, and Alabama was not even really at the top of the SEC if I were to rank the teams.
No,
I would rank, even though they were in the championship, I would say.
It still doesn't mean they were atop the conference. Ole Miss was better than them.
No, they were not at the top of the conference. So Indiana ranks way higher in the Big Ten than Alabama does in the SEC. To me, that's really just apples and oranges. It would be like saying Miami beat. I mean, it would be like saying Miami beat Ohio State or something like that. I mean, actually, that would make more. That would actually be a better comparison than. It would be like it would be like if it would almost be like saying Miami beat USC. I mean, they didn't, but it would be like if Miami beat USC and saying, yeah, Miami's the best team in the ACC by far. USC is not even close to the top of the Big Ten. They're like, so I don't really put too much stock in that. In Illinois, Iowa beat who did they beat? They beat Tennessee.
Vanderbilt.
I'm sorry, Vanderbilt. I would say that one is fair because I think Iowa and Vanderbilt are somewhere near.
They're like the exact same in terms of standing.
I would rank Iowa probably as the 5th best team in the Big Ten this year. I think that's fair. And
they nearly beat Indiana too.
And I would and I would rank. I mean, look, Iowa, I think was an underrated team this year, and I would rank
All four lost
Vanderbilt
by only one score.
Yeah, well, and I would rank Vanderbilt. I mean, look, Iowa had a lot of close games against good teams. I would also
Not small.
but I would rank Iowa ahead of Vanderbilt as a Big Ten team compared to Vanderbilt as an SEC team. I mean, if you look at the SEC this year, you had between Georgia, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, who am I forgetting? Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas. I mean, that's a really deep conference. Like, I think that I would rank Iowa as a Big Ten team ahead of Vanderbilt as an SEC team. The only one where I think it's really apples to apples is Illinois beating Tennessee. And I would probably rank, I mean, like, I'm doing this off the top of my head, but I would probably rank Illinois higher as a Big Ten team than Tennessee as an SEC team. I mean, Tennessee's probably the 8th best SEC team this year. I mean, Illinois is probably a little better as a Big Ten team, ranked
probably
a little higher.
6th or 7th in the conference.
So I don't know. I don't put too much stock into those bowl games because I would it's just that the Big Ten teams that beat the SEC teams were all ranked higher. And also, putting too much into these bowl games also backfires because Big 12 fans can say TCU beat USC. And USC was ranked way higher as a Big Ten team than TCU as a Big 12 team. So it goes a little bit, I think it goes a little bit both ways. But SEC fans are just crashing out about this. And it's so ridiculous because I actually saw a tweet that said, the tweet said, it said, hold on a second.
Somewhere out there, Time Bomb is crying right now.
Yeah, no. Here's what the tweet said, congratulations to Indiana. Great team. Now here's your reminder that 2019 LSU would have beaten you like a drum. So they win. So Indiana had an almost perfect season. They went 16-1, and their one loss was the hypothetical SEC game. They just couldn't get past that.
Yep. Dude, the SEC's undefeated in hypothetical matchups, man.
Yeah.
Well, when they actually play the games, they realize they got hands.
What even is this? Like, what kind of stupidity is this?
It's all them just trying to spread propaganda to make themselves feel better. That's all it is.
Like, it's not that I disagree that they probably wouldn't have beaten 2019 LSU team, but neither would anybody else who's won since they've been around. So nobody says that about anybody else. I mean, you could have said that about the 2020 Alabama team. That LSU team probably would have beaten them too, or the Georgia team, or Michigan. So why are we only doing this with Indiana? This is stupid.
I love those tweets where it says another hypothetical win for the SEC.
It's so completely ridiculous. I do want to talk about what's next for Miami. And I think my thing with Miami is Miami had a really great season. Will they be able to top this next year? It's hard for me to say, and I think they probably wouldn't. I mean, they're not going to have Carson Beck, and they're not going to – I mean, depending on who they end up getting as the quarterback, I think it's going to be kind of difficult to top this.
Not going to have as good of a pass rush, more likely.
No, I mean, they're probably going to be losing a lot of players.
Yeah.
At least 2 of their defensive players are going pro.
I believe that a couple of guys in the secondary might be 2, if I'm not mistaken.
You're probably right. So they're going to be losing a bunch of players.
And
I can almost see it
going line too. I think they're losing a couple of those guys.
At least 3 of them.
Yeah.
So I think Miami is not going to go back to the national championship next year. And I think that's kind of okay because when teams make the national championship, not just when they win, but when they make it, they don't usually go back.
And they might even be a fringe CFP team where they might have to win the final game of the season to even have a chance to get it in based on the production they might lose. So
Could be like this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just don't think it's
bring in as quarterback. I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of options out there for them, and I'm sure they're going to pay someone very nicely to go play there. But I mean, for all we know, they might already have their guy behind the scenes too. We just haven't heard it yet.
Right.
But
yeah, it's certainly. I mean, look, it's certainly possible they have their guy behind the scenes, but we don't really know.
Guy Tony could be a Heisman candidate next year.
I think he could.
Yeah, but I mean, the other question is like, look at their competition. Like, is Clemson going to have a comeback? I think they. If things keep going the way it does, if things keep going the way it does with Dabo Swinney, then I don't.
His flames getting less light every year. I mean,
I think so. Oh, Drew, I'm actually amazed they didn't make a coaching change at the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean,
fire him yet. Like, I don't think you can do that just yet, just because this was an uncharacteristically bad year for them. Like, if it happens again next year, that's when you might think to pull the plug. But
yeah,
I still haven't seen Clemson really get active in the transfer portal. Still haven't seen it.
Yeah, he's just
way too set in his ways to not adapt to the modern day of college football.
Yeah, and you think that like being a guy who a coach who won 2 national championships, he'd be able to adjust. I mean, look, as a college football coach, you have to be innovative.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick Saban, he left because of NIL and the transfer portal partly. He's also in his 70s, so he's getting a little older and just doesn't want to deal with it. I think if Nick Saban was 20 years younger, he would still be coaching and would just adapt to like the new era of college football.
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
And I think the new era of college football has just generally been good for the sport. Like I've said this a bunch of times, people like now that it's around, people hate the current structure of college football with players getting paid. And I think there's not enough guardrails. I think there's way too much of just teams buying players like Texas Tech did this year. They just bought their whole roster.
there's not enough guardrails to police it for sure.
But that's also something that can be fixed. And like I said a few weeks ago, college sports are in their teenage years. Like they're trying to find themselves a little bit, and they're trying to figure everything out. We went from one extreme to the other. We can have a happy medium. But people also seem to forget that hate the current structure of college sports, how ridiculous it used to be. Like there was such thing as an improper benefit. Like you couldn't buy somebody lunch if they were on scholarship. Like, ridiculous.
Yeah, now that term is the most laughable thing you've ever heard.
And like you weren't able to make money off of endorsements, and these were some of the most like really marketable athletes. Not all college athletes are marketable, but a lot of college football and basketball players are marketable by themselves, and they weren't able to make any money off of it.
Nope.
And not all of them go pro. And that's a really life-changing thing for players. Like, I don't think amateurism is inherently good. Nobody believes that. That's stupid. But there is this belief that in college football, in college sports, amateurism was this noble thing. And it's so rich hearing that from Nick Saban because, look, first of all, I'm sure that Alabama and all the top programs were bending the rules a little bit.
Oh,
but
yeah,
also, he's a coach. I mean, he's getting paid millions. So it doesn't apply to him. It only applies to players. It just is so ridiculous. And also, he would never be able to be as dominant as he was.
No.
In today's era. He wouldn't be able to have third string defensive players better than a lot of other teams' starters. That would never be able to happen in today's era.
No, because not every NIL deal, as they say, is created equal. So that's really the main reason behind it. So
yeah. So overall for this season, it was an interesting season. A lot of controversies at the end, certainly with the playoffs. I enjoyed it, even though I slept
Very
through
fun
most
year.
of it.
Very fun year.
It was a fun year. I think it was a
Very
more fun year than
unpredictable.
last year.
Very unpredictable.
It was a fun year. There was a bunch of parity in it. There were some new teams that usually aren't as dominant that were really good. It was an interesting playoff field. A lot of controversy going into the playoffs, but you want to talk about unpredictability. Just like you said, Will, you had unpredictability and then some almost every week, starting in about week 2 or week 3. And it was just off to the races from there. You didn't know on a weekly basis who was going to win and who was going to lose. There was just so much parity in terms of just star power and just all the shifts in momentum. But again, I think the stories of some of these programs that made deep runs, I think is going to be something that people are going to look back on and go, wow, that's actually how it really played out. And this is how the rankings played out and stuff like that. Overall, I just thought it was a very, I thought it was a very unique season. And I just think, and honestly, I don't know, I don't think there's been really a better era than the era than we're in right now to watch this sport, because you go in every single week thinking that something's going to happen and something totally different does. And then it just creates new stars that you otherwise wouldn't have heard of. And I think that's what makes the game really unique now. And another thing I want to mention before I let you guys continue is, I think social media has made the sport of college football even bigger than what it used to be, because now when a guy transfers, there's a whole subset of fans that knew said player from previous school, and everybody at the new school gets all excited, versus as 20 years ago when a guy would go from, let's just say, in a shocking move to a different program, nobody knew who he was until he actually started playing. So, I actually think this new era is more accessible to some of these guys than maybe it's ever been before, and I think that's very unique. So
it is, yeah,
no, definitely. I think the sport is,
great place. I mean, it
really is. It really is in a great place. And I think everybody wants to believe that every sport, like we're hearing about that with baseball right now, that every sport is in bad shape. We hear about it. I just think most of the time it's just nonsense. And in this case, I
also think nonsense. That most sports just need ways to garner more excitement. College football has figured it out. The NFL has figured it out. College basketball has figured it out. Yeah. But if there's some sort of formula that they could translate to some of these pro sports, they would be a lot more enjoyable. But to keep just selling the same product every year with no substance or no hype around it, from just like an algorithmic standpoint, you're not gonna gain any new fans unless you make these cautious changes to actually adapt to this current generation, because more people are on their phones than ever before. And it seems like the sport of football and basketball, particularly at the college level, has figured it out. And I don't think all of the pro leagues have. And I actually think that something that's keeping some of these pro leagues behind is because they don't know how to adapt to the current generation, in my personal opinion. So,
and I'll say this too. I mean, I think that what's so fun and unique about college football these days is that, and this is kind of different for college basketball sense, because you still have your blue bloods that are usually still alive late in March Madness. There are just so many teams that you just wouldn't think would be in a situation like they are nowadays that like make the CFP and make title runs. I mean, because here's the thing, even like a team like Ole Miss, for instance. I mean, Ole Miss never made the 4-team field. They were close a couple times, and they never made it in because they always had at least 2 losses. But this field allows a team for Ole Miss to go on the run they did. I mean, they beat Georgia. Like they were one drive away from beating Miami, and maybe one play away if they got that pass interference call. Yeah. And it's so unique because, like, what's our national champion? It's freaking Indiana. Like, Indiana has been an afterthought for the longest time in college football. And now all of a sudden, because of this era we're in, you could have a team that sucked one year, and then all of a sudden they made the college ball playoff the next year. Mm-hmm. It's just all depends on what guys you bring in, and that's what's kind of neat about it too. It's like
that's what happened. Yeah, that's what happened with Florida State.
Yeah, you're not seeing the same teams over and over again. Alabama's not winning the title every year anymore. You know, there's not an LSU team once every 5 or 6 years that wins it. There's not a Georgia.
Both
haven't won in 3 years now. So it's
for sure. It's not your grandparents' version of college football. I'll tell you that.
No, and we live in an era now. Go back to our previous conversation real quick. Like we live in an era now where it's like, is the SEC even the best conference still anymore? Like there's an argument for no. There's absolutely, and for the longest time, there was never even thought of that answer being no.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, the landscape. Yeah, the landscape is just different. Like the SEC. It's not even so much that it's better or worse, but it looks different than it did. It's not so like the best teams in the country are not necessarily in the SEC anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the best teams in the country aren't SEC teams that 5 years ago you would have even thought would have been in the remote discussion. So
exactly, like Will said, Ole Miss, a really good. Ole Miss went the furthest this year in the SEC.
The people's SEC champion, as they say.
Yeah, the people. Look, they're not technically the SEC champions, but they beat the SEC champion, which is better than being the SEC champion.
The People's Conference champ.
So, that's another big thing. In terms of what's going to happen next year with the other teams, that's a huge question mark. I don't think Clemson's going to get any better. If Dabo just has this attitude of I'm not going to use the transfer portal, I don't even know why he'd even keep his job at that point.
Right, and I'm also curious too, just kind of looking at the extra also because we haven't answered this question yet. Do we see Indiana potentially taking any steps back, or do you guys think they'll just be as consistent as they were this year? Maybe not undefeated again, but pretty darn close to doing. I'm curious as to what you guys think about that, because it seems like they've already reloaded in the transfer portal.
Well, they got they got Dylan Raiola, right? Or am I?
Oh, Oregon.
No, he went to Oregon.
They got Josh Hoover from TCU.
Right, that's right. Josh
Hoover.
TCU. I think they're going to
great addition. That's a fantastic addition.
I think they're going to take a little bit of a step back. I don't think they're going to be as dominant. I don't think they're going to have a perfect season again. It's very unlikely that a national championship winner doesn't take a step back. It would be unprecedented if they didn't. So I don't say that as an insult. I just think, they probably will. And you're got 2 perfect seasons in a row.
I think so too.
Yeah, it's just they've set a precedent now of like what they can be, obviously, and they achieve that. But when you kind of think about it in the sense of would going, I don't know, would like having a season like Ohio State this year, like would that be seen as a disappointment for Indiana? It can't be.
It can't be given how the last 2 years have won.
Still be a playoff team next year. Like you said, Zain, they're reloading already. Like they already got their quarterback because they know their guys gonna be the first overall pick.
And they also got the #1 transfer portal player in the country, in Nick Marsh, who was on a total laughing stock the last 2 years.
Yep.
Now he's on a good team. Yeah. And they also get Ohio State in Bloomington in mid-October to see where they're really at. That's gonna be huge.
That'll be a phenomenal game.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Look, I look forward to next year, but it feels like it's forever away.
It always does, and it'll feel like even forever more away when you're just in July, like in mid-June. You're just like, all right, 2 more months, and those 2 months just go by so slow.
So, wait, Zan.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to ask you, who's losing? Who's the official loser of the picks?
Okay, so the official loser.
I read all of our records.
No, for sure. So the final standings as we conclude the 2025-2026 Forever Power 5 season, I finished with 62 wins for a 52.5% clip. Will finished with 77 wins for a 46.8% clip. And Nick D, you unfortunately finished in last place for the season with 58 wins at 46.03%. And so I officially won the Forever Power 5 picks competition for the 2025-2026 season.
So does that mean that I'm getting Saddam Hussein?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so
Unfortunately.
I might be getting Saddam Hussein. That will be interesting to see.
Yep.
You guys know what the Saddam Hussein trend is, right?
I do. Well, do you know what? Do you know what it is?
Probably.
It's when they take the highlights of athletes or coaches or teams or whatever.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's very funny. So I guess
Okay.
you can take some of my worst picks, whichever one. I don't really care. I've obviously have had a lot of them.
Yeah, you have. Yeah, you have.
And you
You've
can just
hit
Saddam Hussein those 2 or 3 picks.
Yeah. And not to make you feel any worse, Nick D, because there's always next year. You had a few goose egg weeks in there, unfortunately, my guy.
We all have, in fairness, had a few goose egg picks. We definitely all have. And most of them were posted to TikTok so people could clown us for it.
That's true. But yes, officially, it's in the record books. I finished in first with 62 wins, and you will see. You will see next year if I can defend my title or if I will be the one getting Saddam Hussein next year. It'll be very, very interesting to find out.
Next year we're not going to. I'm sure that trend won't be around. There'll probably be a different trend.
True. Good point. Okay.
But yes, I do think that trend is very funny, and I came up with this at least a month ago, probably even more than that.
Yes, you did.
I didn't think it would be me who gets Saddam Hussein, but yeah, I guess it's gonna be me.
Yeah.
So thanks for tuning in, everybody, to this season of Forever Power 5.
Fun.
It was a lot of fun. How many episodes was this?
22.
22 episodes.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So we'll be back next season for Forever Power 5. I don't know. Maybe we'll do NFL draft coverage. Not my favorite thing, NFL draft coverage. That we have to talk about players' arm lengths and whether or not an NFL quarterback is 5'11" or 6 foot.
Very good point.
But yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back next year for season 3 of Forever Power 5. Thanks for watching and listening, everybody, throughout the whole year. I guess if you faded me in picks, you'd be up a couple units.
And if you tailed me, you'd be up a lot.
Yeah. So see you guys next year.
Have a good one.